Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hope you're having a good day. Come on in and find you a place to sit. We'll get started with class today. We're actually starting 1 minute early. It's 9:34. Hope you're ready for class. We will eventually make it to Matthew chapter 20. If you want to get your Bible out or your phone app, whatever you're using today, Matthew chapter 20. We're going to do just a little, Frank sometimes says a mini-series. I guess that's what we're going to do for the next few weeks on what I'm calling the compassion of Jesus. And it's going to lead us into things like our toy and coat giveaway and Christmas and other things. I am excited to tell you next Sunday we'll have a guest speaker. I'll be here. Normally I get guest speakers when I'm not here. But I just to get on this guy's calendar, I took whatever day he had. And so we're going to have Dr. Laws Rushing here next Sunday. He's new president at Mars Hill. And I've enjoyed kind of getting to know him over the last few months. And I wanted you guys to hear him teach. And so he'll be here to teach next Sunday. And then I told him to talk about anything he wants to talk about. And then we'll get back on our series together after that. So I hope you'll be here next Sunday to support him. And I hope if you haven't signed up to help with our toy and coat giveaway, there is a paper list in the lobby. If you'd rather sign that, or you can use QR codes that are around campus, and you can do that electronically. But there is a job for everybody. We'll find a job for you if we don't have one available. But I can't believe it's this week. It is here. It's upon us. That makes me nervous. This is going to be a crazy week around the church, but we'll get it all done. Hey, listen, I want to say this. Moms and dads do some crazy things. All right, can we go ahead and just acknowledge that? Do some crazy stuff. I was looking at an article on bestlife.com, and here's just some things they listed that parents do, and I see if you've done any of this. Spelling out words long after the kids can read and write. Y'all know what I'm talking about? We had little Leah Ashley last weekend, and so we got to, I was like, can she have a COOKIE? And you just do, you kind of fall back into that. You use baby talk too long. You ask everyone if they have to go to the bathroom. Or when they're little bitty, I don't know if you've ever done this, you pick your kid up and smell them, like the diaper kind of thing. I don't know, maybe that you have rocked a child so long that you just continually do this even after you're not doing it. This is the one that my kids make fun of me about. Tell the kids to grab a coat or sweater even when it's warm outside, just in case. That's apparently the words that I get made fun of. Hey, just go ahead and pack it just in case. You never know, just in case. Throw that in there, just in case. It's all right. Testing their food, cutting everything up into bite-sized pieces. And I was the king of this. I was usually the one that would drive, when we lived in Killen, and I would drive the kids in to school, we would play what I called the quiet game. Did y'all play that? Do y'all know what that one is? I'm just thinking, can I just have just a few seconds of peace? We're going to play the quiet game. And if you're quiet, the winner of the quiet game, and you just make up, something. And just to try to get, and see, what we're going to see in Matthew 20 is a story where a mom does something that might be considered a little crazy, okay? But before we dig into the story, we need to talk about kind of our key word, because we're going to talk about the compassion of Jesus. So, and this is where you guys just throw stuff out. When you hear the word compassion, what comes to mind? What word? Synonyms for the word compassion? What else? Just throw them out. Jesus. Empathy. What else?
In Latin, it means to walk alongside of.
What? Latin? To walk alongside of. All right. I need to write that one down. All right. What else? What else you got? When you hear the word compassion. Grace. Caring. What else? to suffer with, help in time of need. When you hear the word compassion, what else? Kind-hearted, okay. What else? Any more? Yeah, that's probably a good one. Love. When you hear the word compassion. So we're going to talk about the compassion of Jesus over the next few weeks. I went to the thesaurus.com app, and it gave me grace, mercy, sympathy, tenderness, benevolence, humanity, kindness, empathy, some of the ones that you guys... Now, you may have to use your phone for this or your Bible. You may not know right where to go. Now, here's what next thing I want you to throw out. Let's talk about, just tell me some times in the New Testament where you saw Jesus, or it says Jesus had compassion. All right, you can go ahead and not do Matthew 20. We're going to cover that one today. But what about some other times? And again, use your phone, use your Bible. What other places? When do you remember a time, or a time you remember where Jesus had compassion? Yeah. Hey, it's interesting, Mary Jane, is it both of them? Is it the fourth? Isn't there a 4,000? Yeah. So I think, is it in both places? Yes. Mary Jane, you're just going to say yes. No, I do. That's one of them, yes. He had compassion. What else? The feeding of the, sir? The widow of Nain. Yes, that's another time. Come on, y'all have had time to look it up now. What else? He cried over Jerusalem. That's another time. All right, what else?
He welcomed the little children.
Yes, when he welcomed the little children. What else?
He healed 10 lepers.
All right, he healed 10 lepers.
And the blind.
Plus the blind. What else we got? He had compassion on them. Mary, Martha. What else?
When he saw the crowds, he passing through the towns, and when he saw the crowds, he had compassion.
When he would, it is interesting, and not every time, but it is interesting. I noticed a lot of times when there was a group of people, that it would come up. Not every time, but that seemed to come up. Any other times you remember a time where Jesus had compassion?
On the cross.
Yeah, on the cross. I don't think we can leave that one off our list. What else? Any other ones you want to throw out? And these are all the different stories we're going to work through in the month of December. But let's go to Matthew chapter 20. If you've got your Bible, let's read a few verses there. Starting in verse 20. Matthew 20, verse 20. Here comes the mom of James and John. And I'm trying to think, man, what would I have done if my mom went running up to Jesus and had done it? But like, Kathy, get back over there. Don't go talk to Jesus. Don't bother him. Then the mother of James and John, the sons of Zebedee, brought them to Jesus and respectfully asked a favor. What is your request? He asked. She replied, in your kingdom, will you let my 2 sons sit on 2 thrones next to yours? Oh. But Jesus told her, you don't even know what you're asking. Then he turned to James and John and asked them, are you able to drink from the terrible cup I am about to drink from? Well, yes, they replied, we're able. You shall indeed drink from it, he told them. But I have no right to say who will sit on the thrones next to mine. Those places are reserved for the persons my Father selects. Now, we're going to talk about this story a little bit that leads us into what's coming next. And I don't think it is a coincidence that we have this story followed by the miracle that's coming after it. See, to me, this story is a great example of how we get the real mission of Jesus confused. Okay? If you'll allow me to say that. The mom wants what's best for her boys, right? I mean, I don't think we would falter. I mean, she wants what's best for boys, and we can relate to that. But when we say in your kingdom, when we're talking about the kingdom of Jesus, was throne sitting really on his radar? Is that what he came to be about? I got a throne, who's going to sit on the throne, and you're on the throne, and you're the one next to me, and then you're one. That's not his mission. And I guess I wasn't thinking about this, the service that Frank talked about today and some of the things that were said in our first service, it's probably going to tie into this. Jesus' mission was about being a servant.
Amen.
Period. It wasn't about who was going to be on the throne. Now, we're going to go ahead and read these next verses, but then we've got some other readers that are going to help us out. We're going to read, I'm going to go ahead and read verse 24 through 28, but we've got some readers in the room that are going to help us with some different translations of 26 through 28. So listen what happens next. I mean, the other 10 followers of Jesus, are they excited about this? That James and John's mom wants them to have the good seats? It says in verse 24, the other 10 disciples were indignant when they heard what James and John had asked for. I mean, now think about it. They've been hanging out together for 3 years. I mean, I think they're probably friends, at least. And they're like, what? Who do they think they are? Asking Jesus calls them together and says this, among the heathen, kings are tyrants, and each minor official lords it over those beneath them. But listen to this next phrase. But among you, it is different. You want to be a follower of Christ? He's not looking for throne setters. He's looking for servants. Anyone wanting to be a leader among you, it's Jesus talking to his followers. Anyone who wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. And if you want to be right at the top, you must serve like a slave. What? Wait, no. That's not the way this works, right? If you want to be on top, you must serve like a slave. Your attitude must be like my own, for I, the Messiah, did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give my life as a ransom for many. Now, if anybody could make a claim to want to be recognized as important, I mean, couldn't we argue that Jesus, he's Jesus. He could make the claim, right? I'm Jesus. I am God's son. And he says, wait, I didn't come to be served, but to serve, and to give my life as a ransom for many. I'd like for us to really hone in on those last 3 verses just for a few minutes before we get to the miracle. So Mary Jane is going to read those 3 verses to us from the Message. So whatever you've got your translation there that you like in front of you. Follow along while Mary Jane reads from the Message. Then Robin is going to read from the New King James. And then Julie is going to read it from the New Testament for Everyone. So you follow. Got your translation right there with you that you like. And let's listen to these next 3. Mary Jane, take us.
It's not going to be that way with you. Whoever wants to be great must become a servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must be your slave. That is what the Son of Man has done. He came to serve, not be served, and then to give away his life in exchange for the many who are held hostage.
Just real quick, Mary Jane, I know you got to pass the mic, but before you do, in the Message there, whoever wants to be great must do what?
Must become a servant.
I don't know. You think that's mixed up a little bit? Maybe?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay. All right. Mary Jane agrees with it. Pass it on to Robin. I'm going to be a servant. Man, I'm still kind of figuring it out. That's just how we teach this stuff? You want to be great, you need to be a servant. All right, Robin's got the New King James.
Yet it shall not be so among you, but whoever desires to become great among you, let him be your servant. And whoever desires to be first among you, let him be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many.
And let's just make sure, Robin. I know we're kind of repeating ourselves, but you've got James and John and their mom over here, and they've just asked for the 2 seats. I want either side of the throne. I want a title. I want to be recognized as important. And then Jesus comes in with what's verse 26 there, Robin, at the end? Whoever desires to be great among you,
Let him be your servant.
that just seems opposite of what they just asked for. So to get to actually to be recognized as great, you serve. All right, Julie, you got the last one. What do you got? New Testament for everyone. It literally is the New Testament for everybody.
But
Ready?
that's not how it is to be with you. If any of you wants to be great, he must be your servant. If any of you wants to be first, he must be the slave of all. But that's how it is with the Son of Man. He didn't come to have servants obey him, but to be a servant, and to give his life as a ransom for many.
Julie, just right there at the end of verse 28 again. I love that. He didn't come to have servants obey him, but
To give his life as a ransom for
to
many.
be a servant and to give his life as a ransom. Listen, we spent several weeks in here. I know we got visitors today, and y'all weren't part of it. That's okay. We spent several weeks talking about Jesus and how he interacted with the Pharisees and the religious leaders. And we're not going to be able to go back all into that. But remember, their focus was on earthly greatness. The Pharisees and the religious leaders. It was to be better than. It was to be superior to. It was to be in charge. And Jesus comes in, and guys, we know that he just rocks everybody's world because he comes in with 180-degree different story, a different version. It's like, wait, what? Oh, that's the Pharisees. Back up. Here they come. Look at their clothes. Look at the scriptures that they have attached to their garments and attached to their hats, and how awesome they are and how great they are. And Jesus is coming in saying, you want to be great? Serve. That just threw everybody off. So here's what I was scribbling out this week. The best leaders are the best servants. And see, here's what happens sometimes. We get into the have to. I don't want leaders to do things because they have to. We do it because we want to. Can I give you the difference? Can I give you some names and not embarrass people? Some of you are in here and some of you are not. Spend 5 minutes with the Brumbelows talking about the homeless population in our city. What do you find out? They're servants. They care about, they're leaders because they care and want to serve. You get it? You get what I'm trying to say? Go up to the Friendship Center during the week with people that are up there sorting and sorting and sorting and sorting bag after bag after bag. And it's good. I know we need the donations. We need the donations, and we give things away, and that's good. But, don't you every now and then want to go, if I see another black garbage bag full of clothes, I'm going to die. But they serve. They serve. Frank mentioned Danny and Nancy this morning, and I'd written them down. I'm thinking about them being, spend 5 seconds with Danny and Nancy. They serve. And if they knew, if they're watching by chance or knew that I said this, they'd be angry. They don't even want their name mentioned out loud. They serve. Did you hear it in Haley and Noma's stories last Sunday? Could you hear it when they talked about the kids at the feedings and the wells and the school and the drip irrigation and the boxes of clothes? Could you hear it? And they don't want to be Haley and Noma, missionaries from Zimbabwe. Let's hold them up to. That's not why they're doing it. They're doing it because they care. They want to serve. They want to serve. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I see it anytime I see my wife in a room full of children from any country. And Ralph, I'm sorry I'm going to embarrass you. I wrote you on here too. When you see Ralph on the church bus, he's happy. He's laughing. He opens that side door and he makes a joke. And it's not, oh, I've got to drive the bus. It's, I want to do it. And he's probably going to get on to me for mentioning his name. But that's okay. I just want you to see it and think about it. When the Carpenter brothers go build a ramp, you can sense it. You can feel it. You can be a part. They're there wanting to serve. And they don't want a title or be held up or to be, they don't want to be on the left or the right hand of Jesus. They want to, they don't have to. And there's a difference. Jesus came to serve this earth, the people on this earth, because he wanted to. Do you think people see a difference? Let's be honest. The want to person or the have to person. Do we see the difference? What was the difference in Jesus and the religious leaders of the day? Why do you think people got so excited and wanted to be a part of what he was doing? It was different. The old upward thing that we used to say, people care way more about what you do than they do what you say. Words can be useless without action, and the world knows that. Serve in love, not guilt. I would love for us to remove have to from our vocabulary. I don't know. It's my turn to teach in the kids' rotation. I have to teach. No, you get to teach. Man, do you remember what it was like to be a fifth grader? I don't want to go back there, but they need us. They need us to teach. Serving isn't like, oh no, I've got to go to Walmart. I have to go. I got up this morning, y'all. It's great. We're having family Thanksgiving, so we had to come to first service because we're having it right after lunch. And there's donuts back there. I was like, man, this is getting up and I'm at Walmart at 10 minutes till 8. Apparently I've learned that's the time to go. There were only like 8 cars in the parking lot. So if you don't like going to Walmart, I'm not telling you to skip church, but apparently Sunday morning is the time to go. You can get to-go containers because, we're not the family that saves the Cool Whip and the Country Crock tubs. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Some of y'all do. We need to be like that because instead I had to go buy them today. The little to-go, because you got to send leftovers home. Right now, I'm digressing. But we say you have to go to Walmart, right? James and John's mom comes in and asks for a place of greatness. I'd like for one son to be on your left side and one son to be on your right side. And Jesus says, okay, you want to be great? Let's serve. Let's not make rules. Let's serve. I want to find a place of greatness. Let's serve. 26 years ago, we got to go to San Antonio to this youth conference thing with Mike and Rebecca Shepard. Gina and I did with little baby Gates. And we got to hear Tony Campolo speak. And I don't know if y'all know who that is, or you can Google him. He's just a wild card. You don't ever know what he's going to say. But what I remember to this day, 26 years later, because that's how good of a speaker he is, his topic that day was Pharaoh had the title, Moses had the testimony. And he hammered that for an hour and a half to a room full of church leaders was, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be Pharaoh or do you want to be Moses? And man, he hammered it and hammered it and hammered it. So which one had you rather have? The title or the testimony? Jesus, in this story, is looking out of the corner of his eye to Mrs. Zebedee and going, hey, they don't need a title. They need to serve. In the end, in the very end, when it has all come down and it's over, which one's going to matter? Think about it. Now that leads us into what's about to happen in these next few verses. And again, I don't think it's an accident that we have all this buildup about serving, and then you get into verse 29, and it says, as Jesus, Matthew 20, verse 29, as Jesus and the disciples left the city of Jericho, a vast crowd surged along behind. 2 blind men were sitting beside the road, and when they heard that Jesus was coming that way, they began shouting, Sir, King David's son, have mercy on us. The crowd told them to be quiet, but they only yelled louder. When Jesus came to the place where they were, he stopped in the road and called, What do you want me to do for you? Sir, they said, we want to see. Jesus was moved with compassion for them and touched their eyes, and instantly they could see and followed him. We're going to notice 3 or 4 things about this story, and then we'll be done today. I want you to notice, just look, what did they call him when they cried out? Yeah, son of David. The Jews knew that the Messiah would be a descendant of David, right? I mean, they knew that. I think it's interesting. I feel like all I've done for the last 2 months is hammered the Jewish religious leaders, but it's okay. We'll be all right. The blind beggars would see that he is the long-awaited Messiah. Do you see that in this story? King David's son, have mercy on us. The religious leaders who had vision, whose eyes worked. They saw his miracles, they heard his teaching, and they still refused to acknowledge who he was. I just find that interesting in this story. I've got a New Living Translation study Bible, and it had this quote, seeing with your eyes doesn't guarantee seeing with your heart. Did you get that? Seeing with your eyes doesn't guarantee seeing with your hearts. Next thing I want you to notice about the story and I know there's all kind of stuff we could pick on, but I think it's interesting that social etiquette didn't matter to them. They shouted. It says they shouted. They began shouting. And the crowd tries to quiet them. But they shout. And here's the thing I want you to think about. When you're around Jesus, when you're really excited about Jesus, does social norms matter? I mean, do they? Kent, I know you're quiet a lot of times. No, I'm just joking. I don't mind saying that because you're excited. It's Jesus. They're shouting because it's Jesus. And the crowd's going, shh, shh, shh. And they shout even louder. When you really see Jesus, they can't see, but they can see. Are you with me? The blind men, they know he's there, and they want to get his attention. Now, here's the last thing, and we'll kind of tie this up. I want you to know here in this story that Jesus knows what's coming. Okay? He's left Jericho and he's making his way to Jerusalem. All right, what's going to happen when he gets there? This is the end. We're getting toward the end of the book of Matthew. It's not a secret. What's coming? Yeah, the crucifixion's coming. The next chapter is where he rides in on the donkey. You know, it's coming, right? I want you to think about this, and I'm not picking on anybody. I'm not trying to guilt you into doing anything, but I think it's important to make this point. Even though he has his mind on Jerusalem, he makes time for two blind beggars. Have you thought about that? See, here's why I think he does it. He just spent the previous verses trying to talk to his followers about what it means to serve. Serving matters. Serving matters. If you want to be a leader, you need to serve. So what would have happened if he's like, I got to get to Jerusalem. Good luck, blind beggars. And just walk past them. Again, it's not just the words that matter. It's not just saying I'm compassionate toward those beggars. He stopped and helped them. That's what matters. He is about to make his way to Jerusalem for the cross. Is there ever a time we could say, well, I mean, his mind's occupied. I think we should give Jesus a little grace here. He didn't have time for these blind beggars. Now, here's what I'm going to say, and then I'm going to run out the back door. Okay? Y'all ready? And I'm going to get my to-go containers and go heat up turkey for Gary and Alicia. We justify not serving because we're busy. Jesus was about to go to the cross, and he had time. Do you get it? He's leaving Jericho, making his way to Jerusalem. The very next chapter, the very next verses, he's on the donkey about to ride in the palm branches and the thing we let our kids do, every year. That's about to happen. That's the next thing. And he wants to make sure his followers understand that serving matters. Do you get it? The example, he sees the men and he has compassion on them. So, for that to happen, here's what has to happen. He had to take time to look, right? We have to look and notice to have the compassion. And I think for the most part, I want to say we're compassionate people, right? I think we're a compassionate church. This is a compassionate class. But if you don't look, if you don't take time to notice it and even acknowledge that it's there, you're not even going to know to help. We justify a lot of things, busy even with what we would call religious things. But what if we're not taking time to really see those who need us most? It was important to Jesus to stop and help these two blind. Was that not the greatest point he could make to his followers? He just told them, you want to be great? Serve. You want to be a leader? Serve. But then he did it. He physically did it. See, let's go back to our Pharisees and religious leaders again just for a second. We said a couple weeks ago, they knew there were needs. They knew there were needs. The book of Leviticus outlined that they should be taking care of the needs. But they were so busy following the laws and the rules and being right that they didn't physically take care of the people. Jesus comes in and says, serving is going to be the priority. It's the priority. So, November 26, 2023. Here's the last thing I got. You're going to get out 3 minutes early. Compassion combined with action. Here's our math equation. You ready? Compassion plus action equals Jesus. That's our example. He had compassion, and then he would always act on it. So what's it mean for us? got compassion. Are you going to have action? Jesus is our example, and that's what he did. Let's pray. God, we're so thankful for these stories like we got in Matthew 20, and let it be more than just words on the page. And let us not out of guilt, and not out of have to, not out of somebody needs to see us or appease somebody. Man, I just help us to take time to look and see needs and act.